Hope you all are enjoying Canes, as I said in the email. If we could get lanes to cater here towards Fort Worth, I'm sure that would be more accommodating for you. However, they're not willing to make that concession for us and come up here. But we're very fortunate today to have actually 4 Aggie attorneys with us, and I'm actually going to allow them, before we get into their general comments, to introduce themselves, their class year, and what they do. Mr. Quast, you want to start?
Sure. My name is Fritz Quast. I graduated from Texas A&M, a class of '96, but I, like most Aggies, took a victory lap and graduated in May of 1997. I took a year off, and then I went to Baylor Law School. After I graduated from Baylor, I came up here and I clerked for Terry Livingston up here at the Fort Worth Court of Appeals for a year. And since September of 2002, I've been employed by a law firm, about 20 lawyers here in town. And most of our work is in representing local governments and local government entities and public officials. And I do mostly litigation and appellate work. Nothing that thrilling.
Well, howdy, I'm Chuck Vanover. I'm class of '90, so I'm, I guess, the oldest one up here. So, I took a little break between A&M and law school, so I started here at Wesleyan in the fall of '99 and graduated in December of '02. And took the February '03 bar, and I've been with the DA's office since June of 2003. I'm a felony prosecutor here in Tarrant County.
My name is Mark Oliver. Graduated from A&M in 1998. Went to Texas Tech for law school. Graduated from there in 2001. Upon graduation, took a job with a local civil firm here. When I started, I hit the guys up to and basically made a deal with them that said, if there's any oil and gas work that you guys get, I'd like to do it. And they said, okay, we don't have any, and you're crazy, there's no oil and gas work up here. This is Fort Worth. And I said, well, don't worry. I said, just whenever it comes, I want it. And they said, deal. And I've been there ever since. I've been doing, did all sorts of litigation work, and appellate work, and now I'm running the oil and gas practice for the firm. And we have an office in downtown Fort Worth and another office in South Lake, and now we have a new office in North Dakota with the Bakken play up there. So it's been a fun ride. I'm in the process of getting licensed in North Dakota at the moment. Yeah. So.
Very nice. Gentlemen, I'd like to ask, I guess, a general question about how the Aggie Network, or the legal network specifically within the Aggie community, how it helped your determination deciding to go to law school, how it helped you during law school, and likewise, how it's helped you in the practice of law.
I guess I'll start. How did the Aggie, or being an Aggie, help me decide to go to law school? Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I was originally a chemical engineering major. And I have a bunch of really worthless electives on my undergraduate transcript. And I don't know, about 2 semesters or 3 semesters in, I decided that, you know, engineering was not for me, and decided law school was the route, and decided I wanted to do something that would better prepare me for law school, so I went to political science. As far as being an Aggie and how that helped me make the decision to become a lawyer, I think being a lawyer is, at the end of the day, and people make jokes, and we're all a bunch of self-centered, egotistical people. At the end of the day, it really is a profession of service. And I know that sounds corny, I know you don't think it, but being an Aggie certainly, I think, leads people into professions of that nature. As far as how it helped me in the practice of law, I think to a certain extent it did help me get my job. It certainly gave, the founding partner of my law firm was a Texas A&M graduate. It gave us something to talk about during the interview. Distinguished me, I guess, from other people who weren't Aggies. I mean, he knew that I'd gone through A&M and done these certain things. Yeah, but that's about it. Does anybody have? Go ahead.
Well, I can probably top Fritz on worthless undergrad credits. I was an athlete at A&M, and I was also in the Corps, and it's a little too hard to do both, so my grades was I definitely wasn't an academic All-American that first year, so I picked up every kind of crazy class I could to get through. Ended up, I got out of the Corps and just concentrated on track and ended up hurting my knee. But got out of A&M, knowing I wanted to go to law school, but not really ready to go to law school. So I worked in law enforcement for about 12 years, and I spent 5 years on a SWAT team as a sniper, and just interacted with a lot of lawyers. And I'd always thought I wanted to go to law school, so I finally thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it before I get any older. And like I said, I started in '99, so a little 9-year break. I was a lot better student when I came back. So, I went from SCO Pro at A&M after the first semester and finished up, here on the Dean's List. So, I think the time frame definitely helped. Being an Aggie, as far as helping in the job search, like I said, I work for the DA's office. I'm also a major in the Guard, and so a lot of Aggies in that realm that it really helps, as far as introductions and getting to know people. But with the DA's office, they'd had really good luck with Aggies, because they know generally Aggies have a pretty good work ethic, and are not afraid to think outside the box. But you're still going to work within the system. So just the reputation of the school itself, I think, really helps.
I think being an Aggie definitely helped me get the job that I earned. In the interview, they asked if I had any experience with bonfire. And I said, yeah. I said, I did it all 4 years I was there. I lived on campus all 4 years, worked in one of the dorms while I was there to have some beer money on the weekends. And so they said, well, can you tell me what a red pot is? I said, yes, I can. Explained that to them. And some of the kids that I had while I was there were red pots. And they said, all right, can you tell me what a brown pot is? So I said, yes, explained it to them. And they said, can you tell us what the stack is? I said, yes, explained it to them, and pulled out a sheet of paper and drew it for them. And they said, well, that's good, because we've just been asked to represent the red pot for stack involved in the bonfire litigation, and we need somebody who can translate Aggie and bonfire for us. Would you be willing to do that? And I said, sure. So I think it's fair to say that A&M and the connection there led me to my first job and led me to sit in on, I think I sat in on over 200 depositions with the bonfire litigation for about the first 2 or 3 years that I was there. All the time saying, do y'all have any oil and gas work while I was doing it. And I basically would spend a week in town and then a week out of town at some venue across the state of Texas with the plaintiffs' lawyers and all the defense counsel as we were deposing all the witnesses involved in the collapse. It was a very unique experience. I don't know that I'd wish it on anybody because I know way more about all that than you would ever want to know. But it certainly helped. It was interesting to me in the litigation how many lawyers were Aggies on both sides of the aisle as we went through it all. As far as obviously you're not doing stuff like that, but any Aggies you know in your life, connect with them, talk to them, hit them up, learn what they're doing. As it turns out, one of my dad's freshman roommate at A&M was a district court judge here in town. And so I pestered my dad until he called the guy, and I said, hey, my son's he's an Aggie and he's looking at coming to Fort Worth, can you help him? And the guy bent over backwards for me. He set me up with professional folks to meet, told me the people to talk to, told me the firms that I probably ought to call, the firms that I probably ought to not call, and that sort of thing. And so as you're looking to get out into the job market, call in every favor, extend your hand to everybody, and let them know what you're doing, what you're trying to do, and solicit that advice from them, because you never know who you'll run into.
Okay, on that same note, gentlemen, for those of us out here who are either 2Ls, 3Ls, or seeking internships or clerkships, through your experience as a law student looking for those clerkships, or through your experience within your practice of law, supervising the work of those students, what are some tips that y'all could provide to how best to impress upon partners or other associates your ability to do well in that position?
Well, first I'll tell you, my firm doesn't really have a formal clerkship program. I think in the 9 years I've been there, we've had maybe two clerks. But we do hire new associates, and you know, I recall being a brand new associate, and I think certainly the things that they're looking for is, of course, quality of work product, and also when you get a project, you need to know what the time deadline is, how quickly it needs to be turned around, and whatever that deadline is, you need to subtract a couple of days. Always be proactive in looking for work. You know, people walk by your little cubicle or your office and you're there on Facebook or playing Words with friends, then that probably looks bad. Yeah. Chuck?
Well, I work for, like I said, I work for the DA's office, and so we have a lot of interns that come through. But kind of echoing what Fritz had to say is, you know, always be looking for something to do. I mean, if you're trying to think about getting a job at a certain place, you know, after you finish up, you know, they don't want to walk by and see you just kind of, you know, sitting around when everybody else is, you know, doing stuff. You know, kind of seek out different things to do. And on a different note, you know, if you graduate from Wesleyan, you should be able to pass the bar no problem. So, I mean, you'll get a good education here. So, the reputation of law school is getting better and better. So, the employers they're going to expect more and more from Wesleyan graduates. So, if you're interning somewhere, you know, you need to think about you're not only affecting, you know, the perception of you, but also the school. So, I would seek out any extra work that they have, and we understand that you're, you know, in law school, or especially if you're doing it over the summer. But like with me personally, I worked full time when I was in law school, and my last semester of law school, I worked 2.5 days a week at the DA's office as an intern, and then I worked my regular full-time job with, you know, working through the weekends, and went to school. So, you know. And a lot of people have been through a similar path, so they don't want to hear, well, I'm tired because I was out partying and, you know, I don't really feel like doing much. So, you know, keep conscious of deadlines, and then volunteer for anything that you can, because everything that you're getting there is in a real practice, and it will help you when you come back to school if you embrace it.
All very good points. In general, it's kind of like Facebook. Don't post anything or do anything that you wouldn't want the whole world to see. It's amazing to me when we have associates or interns or what have you, the first thing we do is Google and see what's out there. So I would clean all of that up for sure before you do anything. Because that
set
reputation.
Your privacy settings, for crying out loud. It's not that hard.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And I think that y'all need to realize that each one of you, to a person, is a representative of the law school at all times. Whether you're cruising around downtown, working at a law firm, working at the DA's office, out at the bar on the weekends. And the reputation, good and bad, you know, can follow the law school not only throughout your career, but just keep that in mind that you're the ones that are building all of this up, and that it's on your shoulders, and you really have some personal responsibility for it. Our law firm goes out of the way to try to make connections to the law school, both for runner positions, for, you know, very menial type jobs, all the way up to, you know, to lawyers and associates and partners. And so the feedback that I would give is that just keep that in mind with what you're doing. Bust your butt, work hard, don't ever be sitting around not doing anything, and because you only get one chance to make that good first impression, and once it's gone, it's gone. And you know all the typical stuff with the work product and all of that, but just keep that in mind, that not only will it impact the way that the employer views you, but also the law school in general.
And just to throw something else in, a lot of what you're going to be doing is stuff that nobody else wants to do, and they're just going to make you do it. And we know it's not going to be pleasant, and sometimes it's just stuff that has to be done. And they know how unpleasant it is, but they want to see kind of how you react to, being given difficult tasks and stuff that's almost, definitely not any fun.
And I would just say too on those notes, take pride in whatever job you have or whatever work that you're given, because they have commented, there's going to be stuff that you're like, really, am I going to do this? But if you show that you're willing to go above and beyond, you're a lot, I think, more likely to get that next job or get that step up. And also, if you find an Aggie to help you along the way, be sure to communicate with them and let them know, like, whether they got you a job interning or in a firm or anything like that. If they're putting their name on you to help you get that job, that is huge. And Mark and I'm the other half of Mark Oliver, and I'm actually graduated in 02 from from A&M, and then 06 from law school here, and I'm the director of alumni and advancement. So thank you all for being here, absolutely, and for your comments. But that's huge, and I get things about, hey, intern job, and I want to place y'all. I do want to help y'all, but I also want to know that if I'm putting my name on you, that you are going to give everything that you have to it. So just something to think about.
One last point about clerkships. Don't do a clerkship in College Station and live with your college roommate. If you want to ask me more pointed questions about that later, I'll do it when the camera's on.
And just one last thing on that too, like at the DA's office, when we have people, that have their third-year bar card, I'll let you try a case. So you can actually get, trial experience in addition to doing the boring stuff. We actually will put you in trial. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. If somebody shows that they're really interested and they're really working, I'll let them first share a case.
Well, gentlemen, I want to ask just one, final question. I think we've kind of asked this at the majority of our meetings as the situation is developing, but what are your general thoughts as to the Aggies' move to the SEC?
Our away tickets became a lot more valuable.
Yes, does anybody here remember the Southwest Conference? Did anyone graduate in 90 or, no, everyone here is an odd, or well, you, of course. That's why I don't go to A&M happy hours, because you have to write your class year on the name tag, and it's got a 9. And I don't write my class year on there anymore. People are like, hey, what are your class year? I said, 90 nunya. None of your business. So I have mixed emotions. I am a traditionalist. My granddad went to A&M. My parents went to A&M. I was the core in the Aggie band. I miss the Southwest Conference. I wish A&M came to Fort Worth every year and played TCU. I miss it. Now, I was happy when we went to the Big 12. We thought, oh my gosh, we're going to have to play Colorado and Nebraska every year. We're going to get our tails handed to us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be much worse than the SEC West. It's going to be absolutely brutal. I'm not looking forward to that. My brother-in-law is an LSU fan, and I'm going to have to listen to it all the time. Yeah. So I have mixed emotions. I'm excited, and maybe it'll help with recruiting, but I've had my hopes dashed before, so. Chuck?
I'm excited. I'm an old, Southwest Conference guy. We were Southwest Conference when I was there, and I hated to see that dissolve, but money kind of did that to the Southwest Conference and the location of just all the schools being concentrated. But I was glad to see the Aggies go to the Southeastern Conference. I think it's a good move. When I was there, we played LSU and spanked them. So it was, it can be done. It's not going to happen the first couple of years, but it can be done.
Yes.
And I think just overall, I think it's going to be a lot of money coming into the school. I think there's going to be a lot going on the recruiting front. I hate that we're going in with a new coach to start off football season. And I like Coach Sumlin, and y'all might throw rocks at me, but I was a fan of Coach Sherman. I knew him. He was my old roommate's position coach when he was at A&M the first time. And all the stuff that you've heard about the man as far as his character is 100% true. Like my old roommate was going to change jobs, and he had Coach Sherman listed as a reference. And even when Coach Sherman was head coach and general manager of the Packers, he would field phone calls when they'd call to check on Jason as a reference. So we had some bad breaks. We should have won some of those games this year, but the man is as good as what they talked about, and I hope he does well in Miami. But with all that being said, I think Coach Sumlin is a good coach. Don't know how the offense is going to work in the Southeastern Conference. It's a different ball game, but I'm glad we're going.
I went to the Cotton Bowl where A&M played Tennessee a few years ago, and that was awful. It was cold, it was wet, it was snowy, and we got our butts kicked. But I also went to the first Cotton Bowl, I guess back in '86 when we beat Bo Jackson when he was playing for Auburn. I went to the Notre Dame. We went to every game.
I was gonna say, I mean, let's
Yeah.
get through all of them.
Yeah, we've had tickets longer than I've been alive, and my dad, we went to every single game. So I know all the dive hotels in College Station and Bryan both, because we'd stay at them. But I'm excited about it. One of my law partners is a Vandy alum, and he's been bitching about that for years. So he's giving me a hard time that we're the new Vanderbilt of the SEC. And I said, hey, if they, their checks cash the same and the other way around, I think the exposure, and it's going to take some time to build it up, but I think with the exposure and everything, it's going to be good. I think we need to get Mr. Ryan's opinion. He is a
Hey, you need to come join us on this.
Texas A&M alum and a alum also of the Louisiana State University's law school.
Yeah, I have a general practice in Baton Rouge, and I'm also a sports agent, so I'm kind of in the sports business.
Yes.
I'm A&M, LSU guy, and since I've been living in Baton Rouge, which was after Hurricane Katrina, I obviously started following LSU more than A&M because I was there, and to keep it neutral so we don't start a riot here. But following stuff in SEC is so incredibly fun. So whether we lose or win at the beginning, the experience of going to places like Alabama and Florida and having these teams come to Kyle Field is going to put the excitement back. Even if we lose, what it's going to feel like there when University of Florida takes the field or LSU takes the field, that I'm just excited about it, in that regard. So I think it's going to be fun.
I think with the exception of the Cotton Bowl game, we had an interim with LSU for quite some time. I think whenever my parents were seniors at A&M, we couldn't play them for 10 years because it was a little rowdy.
Yeah.
I think whenever I worked at the Attorney General's office one summer, the gentleman that I was working for is actually now, he's a director of the division, and he was officers of the day for one of the games where they played at Baton Rouge. They got a few things going on, but hey, it's just like going to Tech too, right? Or going to anywhere else in the Big 12. Things can be a little bit crazy.
That's my first game. First time I marched with the Aggie band was at Death Valley in Baton Rouge, and we went down there and we had our Class A summers on the long sleeves, and we got there and it was like 106 or something. So they said, take off your ties and don't go to the bathroom alone because these people are crazy. Yeah, you could see the heat coming off that. Back then they still had AstroTurf, but yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
All right, well, gentlemen, I guess with that, we want to thank you for being guests of the school, and as always, we appreciate all the insight and advice that you can give us. And so let's thank these gentlemen for being with us.
One last thing, I sent this to John. On April the 20th, we're going to have our little 7th annual courthouse muster, and the way this got started several years ago, one of the defense lawyers, and I was talking to some people earlier, who's actually General Rudder's son-in-law, he and I were talking about if we were going to muster that night, and I couldn't make it, and he couldn't either, so he said, well, let's just, let's find some other Aggies, and let's all, we'll go do our own muster right now. So that has kind of grown into this annual deal that a lot of the judges are looking forward to. All the Aggie criminal judges will be there. Most of the Aggie defense lawyers, so it's a good chance for y'all to get to know some of these people and kind of get your name out. And a lot of these people, they may have an opening or they may need an associate or some type of help. So y'all are all welcome. It's going to be at the Railhead on a Friday afternoon. There will be beer being consumed, so don't think less of the Aggie judges. But y'all come join us. We're going to start about 2 o'clock and just go to whenever. So y'all are all welcome.
So that's the 20th, correct?
20th.
20th, and luckily we have crawfish boil the following day, following Saturday, and then the Fort Worth Tarrant County A&M Club and the other respective clubs have their Aggie muster that evening, so you get to go to all 3 events and have fun in each one of those. So I sent out that email in that regard earlier this week. Just I guess as a notice to those of you that are considering being on a leadership position for next year with the Aggie Law Students. Probably our next meeting, I'll send out an email before it, and we'll potentially take a vote for nominees or take nominees, and we'll have a formal voting process. But thank you all once again for coming. I think we still have some extra chicken and toast. And gentlemen,
yeah, y'all keep this going. You'd be amazed at the number of Aggie lawyers you're going to run into in your career. So, I mean, the stronger y'all can keep this organization going, I think the better.
Okay, so thank you all once again for being our guests, gentlemen. All right, guys, so have a good week, and if you have any questions about our future events, just let me know. Have a good one.